Musiri taina nevale, lakwe koberure to, ego Jehovah. Iratiwa, namasila kwawe. Iratiwa, namasila kwawe. Kole nagiga wana Mungu, sioke mwaita enan. Kole nagiga wana Mungu, sigegerge itunapi. Nagiga wana Mungu, siwasoma ngauche wabi. Nagiga wana Mungu, ekudena nagane mama. Ibagi gogoni Mungu, ikudenda nisesenik. Ibagi gogoni Mungu, imwahile gerge ya kuch. Gogoni Mungu, imwahile gagane monsich. Kirichuki gosiputimu, eleti mwagi yamane. Kirichuki gosiputimu, eleti mwagi yamane. Kiyamneche chugane, asimasoma ngauche babi. Kiyamne logo chuchugane, simabata gauche babi. Kiyamneche chugane, asimata gauche babi. Kiyamneche chugane, ibagi goichori. Kiyamneche chugane, sigwamigo winu. Kiyamneche chugane, sigwamigo winu. Piretane mingoriemu, konatane sikosusino. Piretane mingoriemu, konatane sikosusino.
Bas ka standard up karan jini ngutula la mite hanenda tambasada araf ko jango lab studio amanje kichabwa tuna legend petu tabrani getinda inenda engineer Michelle Boit natako siko mwa wech missing katinge hak na lecture tak chatinge gag engineering hak na lecture to kora chebo kole une go engineer go iji netie amwa gora legend hin petu tabrani gora shoni tawe gun Lanson Foundation Talent for Education agwa tungeli ya legend shoni takoy gun Lanson Foundation Talent for Education ko yau anango ya jamge ay ingila ko ngi muji shan gito show ne bapetu tabrani ngi muji shan gito show no tak ne bapetu tabrani imuch ama gitar gito ko show nyorchige silingi chek pokol mot courtesy of Lanson Foundation at AKL studio hamaje gito abwaru na lejini ngi shan gito betu tabrani mekan show ile keshan show ne bapetu tabrani si muji ngian draw ne ba picture tak nyorchinge silingi chek pokol mot credit chotak cheba Safaricom korai ko muji shan siga much TV chotak chang misin so ba much konai ako kuyo wala tos ne natang magat si ako engineer ako lagok chotak kora chebo kalenjin asa missing chotak che TV ko ingen missing ile big chotak che engineer kana big chotak che engineers ko missing ko jam gelen big che muranik mete gena gele tos ne natak imuch ko ga jinendet tota betu tabrani so much ko jut akwai ale chotak che tinye ak engineering amagi nyoru inendet kora me jabwa tuna lejini eng betushek chotok tugul chotok chikikeyai show alen kityo kongoi missing eng biik tugul chotok cheisubech biik tugul chotok chikokosubech kora eng Alfred Koech Sergeant Page kingen gele nekit keit 60,000 ako courtesy of you ko ketechege kunotok pamoja ameche kityo amwoiwa kongoi missing akobo kibagenge notok nekitinye so amakitestai ameche kityo abwatun alejinin commandant metengi tinye ngetebut age tugul kora notok nemeche itebe tonyo nebo betutab ran imete eng yobo comment agere kakoit biik chok chemi olin bo Qatar kong'eten kot Milan Arab Rotich kamwa inendet kole am live direct from Qatar kale shikilia hapo kakonyojini kele Hop Letich kale tuned in from Sotik kakoit biik chok missing toek chotok chikikoit missing chotok chemeche ingitinye kora tebut kityo inyo yobo comment section akimete sikemuch ketebe tonyo nebo betutab rani so share sikemuch kora keityi biik chotok chechang missing bas kakosamwech kora biik chotok chebo AKL anan biik chotok cheisubi AKL kakalo betutab rani keboishe lugait notok nebo Kiingereza sikomuch koityi kora toek chok chotok chemi wui tugul ole mitei kingen kora Michelle kele kisomane inendet olin bo America ko kakosom kora biik chemi America kole to toretech keng'alale rani kutitab Kiingereza sikemuch kora kekas akoityi lagok chok chotok chebo kutuswek alak ak biik chotok chemitei Alfred Koech Sergeant Page ko kakomwa kole kimeche kekas missing kotin ga ngalek somanet notok nebo engineering. So asame kityo ale kimeche siget tuwa kityo kemwa ngalek en kutit notok nebo Kiingereza. Alen kityo kongoi missing, kongoi missing. Bas, Michelle, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I'm Alfred, of course. I'm calling you, or you're live on AKL Show on our Facebook page, and I really
Thank you very
appreciate.
much.
Yes, and I really appreciate you being here today to share and give us an opportunity to get to know you as well. So, without further ado, I wish to welcome you. Feel free. Um, don't share as much as possible so that we would be able to get the much we can through this platform. So without further ado, Karibu Sana, and straight on, who is Michelle? Where is she from? Where was she born? And yeah, so Karibu.
All right. Thank you so much, Alfred. It's an honor to be on your show. I
Yeah,
have seen you've done such a great work on your foundation, and it's definitely an honor to be part of your show. And hopefully, we'll get to learn from each other.
yeah,
So I'll go ahead and introduce myself and just my life a little bit. And yeah, then we'll open up for questions. Then you lead us on.
no problem.
My name is Engineer Michelle Boit. I am a mother of two. Cheruto is almost turning 15 years, and Kimutai is 11. And by profession, I'm a petroleum engineer. I studied at Texas Tech University, but before I go to the university, I went to Kapneberai Girls High School in Nandi. Very proud alumni of Kapneberai Girls. And so yes, after high school, I went to Texas Tech University and I studied engineering. I graduated 2008 with chemical engineering first class. And then I started working for a company called BP, British Petroleum, back in Texas. My first 2 years was in the field where I was just out on the rig. And it was a very good experience. It was very strong foundation for myself. I had really good supervisors, team, where they gave me an opportunity to build a very strong career. Then just within BP, I was moved to Houston. I was supporting another field in Wyoming. I did that for 2.5 years before I got moved to another field in New Mexico. Right after that, that was about 7 years in total at BP. That's whenever Kenya discovered oil. And I know everybody was just contacting me. Everybody was looking for Kenyans who have experience in oil and gas, education, the skills to come back home and definitely give back and be part of the development of the industry. So I joined Talo in 2014. Great opportunity. And we'll come back about how my adjustment was.
Yeah,
But let me just continue with my professional
yeah,
path. So when I came back 2014, I worked as a well service supervisor, a well service engineer for East Africa. I was covering Kenya, Uganda, and Ethiopia. And the reason for that was because East Africa was still very new in oil and gas.
yeah,
And when I was working at BP, our field was 2,000 wells. You can imagine 2,000 wells. Then when I came to Kenya, we only had a little bit less than 20. So I told my boss at that time, how am I gonna keep myself busy? How am I gonna keep myself, encouraged and challenged in my job? So
yeah,
that's whenever the portfolio of Uganda and Ethiopia was added in.
yeah,
So I worked as a well service engineer for about 2 years, and then that's whenever we transitioned from exploration appraisal into production. And
yeah,
so we did like an early production pilot scheme called EOPS, and I was the technical lead for the EOPS project,
yeah.
and I got a chance to even take the president around when we were just starting our first oil. So
Wow.
that was my career in Talo. That was a very challenging project
Mhm.
because of just equipment. They're not readily available. If you want something, you have to order and you have to consider transportation.
Yep.
We had contractors. I had about 100 men working in the job. And then being the only female, we had our own challenges also.
Mhm.
But I was lucky enough. I would say I had a really good team. I had a really good, the contractors were really good. So we worked together to a point where we commissioned the EOPS project successfully.
Yep.
When we completed that and started producing oil, I felt I need to change my path a little bit and I went into consulting. So I started consulting for Chad in Jamena for a company called Glencore
Mhm.
until Corona hit in. So
Wow.
yes, so that is my career path.
That is mind blowing. Your the career part itself is sounds quite a journey, and very exciting as well in regards to what you've done and achieved within that period of time. I guess you said you graduated in 2008, and 10 years later, um, you're talking about working in three different, um, even more than four countries, two different continents. So it's that's really great, and congratulations for venturing into that. And that's actually my next question: is that what inspired you, noting that the field that you are in is well known to be male dominated? And given that you didn't even, if I might have missed or missed where you said where you're from, I would think you're from in a very place, a village place in, of course, in Nandi or Wasingishu, and you're now talking about international companies like, I'm sorry to say, I'm Calais. Is it BP? I guess. I guess that's British Petroleum. I guess. So,
Yeah.
being a lady, you from down the village, talking about being an engineer. Who and what inspired you, or who inspired you, or what came by so that you wanted to be an engineer.
Well, I would say I've always been good in math and sciences
Yeah.
throughout. I remember getting my certificate when I was in class one for scoring high in math. So I've always been good in sciences and math, and I've really, really enjoyed. I remember in high school when we were doing titration and
Oh.
calculating the molarity, mole.
Yeah.
So I couldn't really, they sometimes they had to kick me out of the lab because I usually I really liked chemistry all throughout, and that's why I picked chemical engineering.
Mhm.
Because however much I was doing good in biology, I know my dad really wanted me to be a doctor so that we can have a doctor in the family. But
Yeah.
when it comes to personality, I don't like hospitals. I don't like I can't stand being in a hospital.
Yeah.
So my personality really crashed
Mhm.
for me to be a doctor. So chemical engineering is something we discussed with my father, and I felt that is definitely what I'm gonna pursue.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, when I did my KCSC, the cutoff points for chemical engineering, you had to get all A's in math, science, and all the sciences. So unfortunately, I got B's. So I didn't get the cutoff points to join the local universities. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, Kenyan universities. So I got called for agriculture, Egerton. The KCSE results almost flipped. Like
Yeah.
I got A in agriculture, geography, I scored really high in Kiswahili and in English,
Yeah.
the ones that I used to struggle a lot. And then it flipped. The ones I was really good at and doing good, I got B's. But so we discussed with my parents, and I said, I'm not really interested with agriculture. Uh, so what is our next move? I know they asked me what is your second career option, and I said accounting. And so yeah, I remember even going to Strathmore. I went, scored, and actually there's a very funny story about that. I remember meeting all kinds of people from Mangus,
Yeah.
Alliance, and they're asking me, which high school are you from? And I'll say, okay, Cap Nyeberai. They say, Cap what?
Yeah.
Where is that? I
Yeah.
remember that I got so intimidated
Yeah.
by the crowd to a point where I even changed the school to be called St. Kate so I can kind of look cool. And I said, I'm not from Eldoret. But
Yeah.
anyway, uh, so to that was a really, I would say my esteem was a little bit intimidated during that time.
Yeah.
But until when our scores came in, and I was topping in Strathmore, that's whenever I stopped
Yeah.
trying to be other or hoping to be other or coming from or making up things. So I
Yeah.
said, you know what? I'm from Captain America Girls High School. If you can't say that name, I'm
That's
sorry.
it. Yeah.
It's not my problem. It's your problem.
Yeah.
And my esteem started from there. Since then till today,
Yeah.
I'm always presenting myself as Michelle and very proud from where I come from.
Wow.
But yeah, so my career started where we discussed with my father and we decided, if that's what you want to do, chemical engineering, let's I had my uncle at that time living in Texas, and that's when he talked to the brother,
Yeah.
and I was able to go to Texas and pursue chemical engineering.
Yeah. All right. Before we got into the next question, allow me to read a few comments. Quite a number of people are commenting, and I don't want to leave it up to the last minute because quite a lot at the moment. So I'll go through,
No
then
problem.
we'll go to the next question. So Dick Rotich says that I salute you, engineer Janet Tibet. Janet Bet says that woman empowerment, great, amazing. Thank you, Janet. And Gerard Massey, Michelle Boit, we love you so much. Faith Chebo says that Eldoret Massive, we are following. Thank you very much, Joyce. Says that Chamga Missing from USA, watching live. Asante Sana, Joyce. Mangat Jackie, great. Thank you very much. Janet Bet, wow. Schoolmate, Kamya Berai. That's Langat. I'm not too sure if you guys still remember each other. She's saying that's your schoolmate.
That's nice.
Tisaina saying, following from Nakuru, awesome. My son is doing gas and petroleum engineering at KU 50 and now. Kindly help him to get attachment because classes were resumed in January. I think ingia DM alafu kuconnect na engineer alafu tuone kama kuna deal. Ruben Tanui say Tanui following from Kapsaret, asante sana. Al Rock Kesha Wonder woman, God bless you be upon and thank you Alfred for hosting. Asante sana Tanui Ruben Senior Robert Talk kuja sikia hii maneno wanaitana PK A based. Congratulations Mama Kim. That is PKA
Yeah.
Bet. Congratulations. Joyce amesema I was at Strathmore too. Nikawaambiwa nilienda Kapsabet Girls walikuwa wanashangaa huko ni wapi.
I'm
Kibet,
not the only one.
inspiring. Najitaka nigela Kibet Obadia honorable. This is inspiring story. Asante sana. Sonia Sonali Reese, such a humble woman. I respect you, engineer. God bless you.
Thank you.
Lovely. I love oil field. I work also in the oil field. Asante sana Kimngetich Keter. Now Mimi say hello. Just joined in. Asante sana William Birech. Welcome. Well done, engineer. This is an inspiration to many, especially our children. Dick Rotich following your footstep, engineer. Asante sana. As we will still continue to read quite a number. So, having
Okay.
said that you've worked in this field and you've told us your story about you had a chat with your parents and eventually you got what you wanted to do. So, what would you want to tell? There are those young ladies and even gentlemen who would want to venture into the field. What are some of the things that people then need to know before going into this field? Should it be just, going because engineer did, or there's a formula that one has to know, or what would be your advice to them? And Yeah.
All right. So, I actually wanted to be process control. Process control is an engineer who stays in a locked up room.
Yeah.
I always used to see in the movies where you have all kinds of controls. When you just see red, you know it's bad. Green, we're doing good. So you have to monitor pressure, you have to monitor temperature, you have to monitor levels
Yeah.
of the plant. But I'm more of an extrovert, and I didn't like being locked up in a room and stay there for 12 hours. I wanted to get out, I wanted to talk to people. So when I was doing my internship at BP, they
Yeah.
gave me an opportunity to work now in the field. But I was working as a petroleum engineer. So, there was a little bit of switch there from chemical to petroleum.
Mhm.
But to be honest, I was very, very intrigued with it. I got very interested going to the rigs, really seeing how we're getting the oil out, how we are separating oil, gas, and water. And after my 3 months of my internship,
Yeah.
I said, actually, I would like to pursue this. And I asked my supervisor, because I just had one more year to graduate. And I asked him, is it too late, to switch
Yeah.
from chemical to petroleum? They said actually that year they had so many few petroleum engineers, and the next engineering that they will hire is chemical, because they can relate a little bit more, and then mechanical. So after the internship, they gave me the opportunity. But let me tell you the truth. When I was applying for the internship,
Yeah.
the good thing with the Texas Tech that they brought all kinds of companies and they created a career fair for us. We had about 200 companies, and we were taught how to talk. We were taught how to, our resumes were reviewed a week before the career fair, and all we had to do is just dress well, present ourselves well. And at that time, that's the time I got so many opportunities to work for different companies.
Yeah.
And the reason why I got into oil and gas, it's because of the money. The money was so good. I won't even lie. I mean, you could not even compare with chemical companies. You could not even compare.
Mhm.
The money was so good. Um, so that's how I got in the oil and gas industry.
Yeah.
So I was comparing from one oil and gas company to another oil and gas company, Exxon, Shell, BP, like who's the one who's giving me the most, and who's the one who's putting me in the field. I'm more of hands-on.
Yeah.
I prefer being in the field more than being in. So BP gave me that opportunity.
Yeah.
So if anybody wants to pursue, I remember my father was asking me, now you're in oil and gas. We don't have oil and gas in Kenya. And I told my dad, I really do enjoy being a petroleum engineer. I don't know where my destiny is going to be. I know eventually I'm going to move home. And I explained to my dad that if anything, I'll come to Nigeria. If I'm coming, I'll move to Africa to
Yeah.
work in one of the uh, African companies that have oil and gas. That
Yeah.
is as close as I can come home. And then guess what? Boom, oil and gas is discovered in Kenya. So I will definitely advise pursue what you have passion in, what you enjoy.
Mhm.
Don't be intimidated. I was intimidated in so many ways, in so many levels. Remember, first of all, I wanted to be a chemical engineer and I didn't get the cut mark, but that didn't stop me there. I found other different ways how to still pursue chemical engineering, and I did. When I was doing my chemical engineering, they were saying, "Oh, this is only for men," um, but the controversial part of it is I'm doing very good in calculus and I can't do sociology. Like I was really struggling. I was getting C. And that's whenever they're saying this is for women. No, it's not. Like God gives us different talents. It's for
Yeah.
you to see where is your talent and how can you bring it out to your level best.
Mhm.
So I stopped listening
Yeah.
to what the society thinks and really pursued the talent that God has given me, which is in science
Yeah.
and mathematics.
Mhm.
So I never stopped in college. I graduated, and then also at work, you
Mhm.
still get intimidated. I remember when I was being posted in Wyoming, as soon as I landed, I was told behind every tree, there's a beautiful woman. And when I was driving from the hotel all the way to the field, there were no trees. So basically, that means there are no women. So I got there, I got so intimidated because I was young, female, and black.
Mhm.
And here I am supposed to supervise people who are twice my age
Mhm.
and white, and they're from Wyoming.
Mhm.
So I actually took an opportunity where I had to break the ice. And breaking my ice means I had to spend more time with them, know them more than professional, spend more time with them, see what they're struggling. Because as an engineer, you can sit down in an office and you write exactly procedure how you want them to execute a project.
Yep.
And when you actually go to the field, sometimes what you write and what we think in our head is totally different with what is on the ground.
Yep.
Vile wanasemanga, it's different on the ground. It's different on the ground.
To ground.
Sometimes we write ni different kwa ground kabisa, because we write something thinking it's so simple, but actually to execute whatever we are writing, it takes a little bit more. So for me to be successful in Wyoming, I had to spend more time with the people in the field. And I was never that engineer, and I was never that supervisor who just sit and tell people what to do. I actually will go out. If it's waking 4 in the morning, I'll wake up 4 in the morning, go to the field. And I'm telling you, I turned Wyoming. I increased production by 50%.
Wow.
Actually, I was even awarded by the CEO of BP, because of just turning around production in that field, and also turning around the mindset, and also just the attitude. It
Yeah.
got to a point where I remember I'd travel home to come to visit home in Kenya
Yeah.
for 2 weeks, and my field was still holding to be the top production field.
Wow.
So they asked me, Michelle, how are you doing it? The reason why I was able to do it because I broke the ice between the engineers and the technician. And I was there whenever they needed something, and I would listen to them, because there are some engineers who will make it so tough for the technician to give them feedback on how things are different on the ground. So if somebody wants to pursue engineering, oil and gas, it's a very good industry. I have really enjoyed being in oil and gas. It's very diverse. I like meeting different people.
Yep.
It's global. They pay very well. The downside of it, you that you work long hours. You can work 12 to 16 hours a day. There's a tough time. There's a tough balance between work and family. For example, when I was consulting, there's this schedule called 28-28. You work for 28 days and you're off for 28. So you can imagine if you're a young woman who has a young family, you have to be gone for 28 days.
Wow.
Um, yes, so there's that tough balance, and also there's a harsh. You work in harsh environments.
Yes.
You'll be in the middle of nowhere, nowhere completely. Like gari ikikwama ni wewe tu. So there's that too. We are always the oil and gas industries sometimes are located in very harsh environment.
Yeah.
And for people who work in offshore, they have to be flown by the helicopter, and you
Yeah.
have to be in the deep sea for about 28 days.
Wow.
So those are the highlights, and those are the challenges that have occurred so far. But never fear to follow your passion. Never fear to follow your passion. I would definitely encourage any girl who has passion in science not to fear.
Mhm. So before we come into mentioning STEM as science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and what were you looking into when you did an MBA in engineering? Allow me read a few questions, a few comments as we go by. There's someone
Yes,
called
sure, sure.
British Mark Mutai is saying that he say that say hi to Engineer Boit. We are inspired by her, and we wish her very well. Kiplagat cheering from sideline. All the best, my sister. Someone called Naomi Chiri Kibo said, "Bravo, engineer Boit. Way to go, connect me to STEM. I've done mechanical engineering and geothermal engineering myself." So that is Naomi. She's saying that she's well conversant in the field and she would want some connection. So, I would call you engineer for now. The young engineer, just DM us and we will connect you with the senior engineer here today. Um, Someone called Kipchirchir Eliza says that happy about such great girl from the soil. Like her story about how she assisted her parents. We will come to that actually. Someone is pointing out that the White House has been seen by a friend here and you want to know more. Ask her uh, what what other mental challenging girls pursue such demanding courses. Amesema utatuambia ni nini ilikufanya ukajengea mzazi nyumba kubwa kama hiyo. Kuna mtu anaitwa Maina Talai, proud of you Kenyan Coffee, been breaking the glass ceiling. That is Maina Talai Chaps. Mupia, congratulations engineer. Quite a number of comments are coming through, but as we continue by, we will continue to read them. I would want also to remind our viewers that as you share this show today, you're going to be in a draw to win Kenyan shillings, 500 shillings towards Safaricom credit courtesy of Lansdowne Foundation and AKL Show. So as many as you can, please share also so that we may reach other people to get to know about this field and get to hear from our guest today. So engineer, as you are taking us through your journey and everything, I realized also when I was doing a background research about you that you got an MBA in engineering. So what was it? What was that? You know, what exactly were you looking into doing an MBA in engineering? Was it something you wanted to complement what you wanted to be, or you were just doing it because it was part of life? You have to at least add on, and also if someone isn't really interested into engineering and STEM is something that has been um, that it's one of the things that is being frontier at the moment. Like people are being encouraged to, even here in Australia, also they are really encouraging girls and every person to do at least 2 or 3 courses in relation relating to the to STEM. So, what exactly, or what would you be, what would be your advice to not only the girls but also someone listening today?
Well, my advice will be, you always set your goal.
Yeah.
For example, when you're in high school, you set your goal to pass KCSE.
Yeah.
You pass your KCSE. Then what next? You set your goal to go to the university and do great in university. Then you set your, and then you do it. And then you set your goal to be the best engineer trainee, and then you graduate from that. So for me, my MBA was I needed to set my goal, how to manage, because I was the point where now I'm in the senior management. And at the same time also I was running a foundation. I was doing it for passion, mentoring girls,
Mm-hmm.
mentoring the youth. But it got to a point where the foundation was growing so fast and I needed to understand some few things. So that was more for my professional and also for my personal good. How to, when I'm going to be running my consulting in the future, what are the skills that I need? Because I've been just been a manager with the best knowledge that I have, but maybe there are more information out there of how I could be a better manager. So that's whenever I decided to pursue my MBA and I was ready to be an executive leader. So I pursued my executive MBA at University of Texas. That was in 2016. And the reason why I did in 2016, the oil and gas oil and gas price went down in 2015.
Yeah.
So I thought there was a lot of people who were affected with the jobs or operations were being cut. So I was lucky enough that I still had my job, but it wasn't as busy. So I thought that would be the best time for me to go back to school.
Yeah.
So 2016, and I graduated in 2018. Yes, with my executive. And the reason why I chose global leadership, because I just wanted this world to be global. And it's so funny how COVID-19 actually has just made the field to be leveled. Like Zoom meetings. I mean, COVID-19 has its bad and it's good, but I'll always look at something as an opportunity. And I will
Yeah.
say COVID-19 actually leveled the field. Can you imagine an engineer who is sitting in Kenya doing the same thing as an engineer sitting in London? Because it was always prioritized, or we had hierarchy of engineers who have worked in the US, worked in London. But right now, because of COVID-19, everything has been leveled. Everybody's working from home. You're reading the same script. And that's when the youth now need to come and take advantage of that,
Yeah.
because now the meetings, now everything now is online. Now even classes are now gonna be, is the trend is now going towards being online. So you
Yeah.
can take so much advantage of such things,
Yeah.
um, to make yourself better.
Mhm.
Always make yourself better. There are some things I'm still not good at.
Yeah.
I'm trying to learn
Yeah.
to just better myself. So learning is continuous, and just whenever you have already achieved your goal that you have set another one, set it high. Even if it looks too high or too big for you, just set it and do whatever it takes to pursue your goal.
Absolutely. Wow. So, quite some people are commenting also. They are over the house. Someone is saying, yeah, I want to be your bodyguard. Someone is saying, congratulations, naweza kuwa personal bodyguard yako. Anyway, as we continue, as we continue, Harriet, tunakuona hapa, mtu ya Cleopatra's, tunakuona, you're doing great in Eldoret. Karen Carey. Wow, I feel attacked. Kuja karibu Mama County, tuko ndani kabisa. Also, I did notice that you've you've worked in, you know, different countries. You studied in the US. You worked with one of the leading organization actually when it comes to, you know, oil and gas and petroleum and you know, in your field, it's one of the largest. BP is great company as well. You've said you've worked in Chad. You've also worked in Talo or Tulo. That is how we used to say when it came. So, and of course, that is in Kenya. So, what is that distinctive thing that you've realized within or amongst all these countries and companies that you've worked in? Is there something that, you know, you can pinpoint that saying working in the US and working in Kenya, there are a few things that, you know, needs changes, or they are quite okay, or what do you what would you want to tell someone who is growing in the industry? I realized there was a friend of mine who did oil and gas here in Australia, and he really wanted to go back home and work there. And also, it was there quite a number of things that he really was looking into before, you know, making that decision. Also, you've worked in that regard as well. You've studied in the US, you know, being in the US for quite a number of years, and now you're working in Kenya. You will also take us through, you know, that transition. You know, some of us, quite a number of us actually are scared to go back home. You know, the relocation part is crazy because you think, how would I go and start? Will I do, you know, here you think about every 2 weeks or every month you get something out of it. Now going home, you know, it's crazy. You know, you think about how am I going to start. So you will also take us through that transition process, if you may, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Working in different companies and working in different countries actually gives you a lot of experience, and it makes you think um, on a wider broad. For example, in the US, and I can't really say which one is better, which one is worse, because in each and every country that I worked,
Yeah,
like there's something that I really enjoyed about it, and there's something that I really never enjoyed about it.
yeah,
So let's start with the US.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed working in the US. I had a really good team, my supervisors. I mean, up to today, we're still in touch. Up to
Mhm.
today, we're still in touch with my supervisor. They gave me a very strong foundation.
Yeah.
And we had also, sorry. And we also had a very good team that were able to see me grow.
Yeah.
And I grew so fast.
Mhm.
And then in Texas, the oil and gas has been there for a very long time. So basically, I was a production engineer, and all I was doing is just
Yeah.
maintaining the wells. So using technology to see how wells will I optimize these wells, how else can I increase production. So the technology was right there.
Mhm.
And if I needed anything, the shops are right there. It's just a phone call away.
Yeah.
The unfortunate part of it is I wanted an international experience.
Yeah.
So that's the time where Talo was definitely pulling me to come home. And at the same time, BP had an opportunity in Angola.
Mhm.
So I had to juggle between the two. I'm like, man, I don't even know how to speak Portuguese. And I said, okay. And I wanted to work offshore. So that's what Angola was going to give me.
Yeah.
But in Kenya, I was gonna see how does I feel start? How do we start from the beginning?
Mhm.
Because at BP, those wells have been drilled all the way back to the 60s.
Yeah.
So I really didn't see much of starting a field.
Mhm.
So the opportunity at at BP definitely gave me a very strong foundation because I had the technology, I had the skills, I had the experience, and that's what helped me to now transition into Talo, where we are starting. Because I already know the technology and the skills, I know exactly how each equipment works.
Yeah.
The only challenge now I had in Talo is the equipment that I want, I can't just get it off shelf. It's just not a phone call away. I can't get it in 1 hour. I
Mhm.
have to order. It can take up to a month. But in Talo, the other highlight that I had is starting a project from beginning to end. That's the first time actually I saw a project that I led a project from beginning to end. BP is so big. There is no way you'll be able to finish the project. You either start or you'll come and continue or you'll come and finish it, execute it.
Mhm.
So the other thing that I enjoyed in, of course, being in the US is just everything is convenient, is effective when it comes to personal life. Everything is effective. I can have a budget and I know that's exactly how I'm going to spend my money.
Yeah.
um but the challenge was, however much I was in Houston, however much I had my own house, however much I had my cars, successful, I actually was feeling a little bit lonely because my family are not really available just right there. I just had my nanny, and that was just about it.
Mhm.
So transitioning into Kenya, I definitely got that family feel. I got that support from the family. In fact, it became too much support. People would just want to come and live with you
Mhm.
and and stay there for a while. But so I got so much support.
Mhm.
The transition was very, very tough. I thought when I transitioned from US to Kenya, it will just take me about 3 months. That
Mhm.
was my thinking because I've always been coming home and I knew exactly how it works. So I thought it's going to take 3 months for me to transition. And to be honest, it took me 1 year. It took me one
Wow.
year to finally, you know, be real with myself with the transition. The reason why I did hang on was because the kids transitioned very fast. Within 2 months, they were able to have a full conversation in Kiswahili. They
Wow.
really enjoyed their school. We transitioned into 844. They really enjoy just the environment, seeing grandma, seeing just family, so many aunties, so many uncles. So they really enjoy that. And because of them, I had to really work hard to transition myself. When it came to the career part of it, the project was good. So transitioning into Talo was good. It was just the transitioning into living in Nairobi was very tough. Um, this was the first time I'm living in Kenya. Uh, this is the first time, sorry, I'm living in Nairobi. I always used to just come, drop straight to Eldoret. So there are so many things that I didn't know. Nairobi was so big. Looking for schools, I'm coming from the US where we're not paying school fees.
Yeah.
When your child starts kindergarten or starts even class 1, you don't pay school fees.
Wow.
So I was relieved from daycare charges. So I was coming from not paying school fees to paying school fees. I'm transitioning from mortgage that is 3% to mortgage that is up to, even I saw some of them 18%.
Wow.
So how am I going to buy a house in Nairobi at, first of all, at 18%? The lowest I got was 14 at that time. How am I going to transition from 3% to 14%? Not only was the mortgage high, but also the cost of the house. Like the house I was living in Houston was its own compound, a suburb area. I will compare it to Karen, and it was only 12 million Kenya shillings.
Actually.
But for you to get something like that comparable, it was times 1,000. So those are the tough things that I was going through, transitioning. But
Apart
my
from
mom was very kind. She came, she stayed with me for a little bit. Even as simple of just looking for a sufuria, where do I buy meat? What do I do this? All my family are in Eldoret. So the transition was really tough, not only driving, meeting matatus, you have to be rough, there are no rules. So those are the tough it was a tough time, but after 1 year, when I just made peace with myself, I
yeah.
think what I was struggling was more mental. When I made peace with myself, I said, this is it. The mortgage is going to be this much. Um, this is how it's going to be. Um, as soon as I accepted, that's what that's whenever now I made a really good settlement and I moved on.
Wow. That's good to know because quite a number of us that is we still have that phobia. But given that we've seen such people like you are also inspiring us to come back home and settle and do a few other things.
Can you increase your volume a little bit?
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes, just
Yeah.
the volume changed a little bit, but that's
Okay.
okay.
So I was saying that you're inspiring, and that question came actually from one viewer who is, I guess, living outside the country. He really wanted to know that kind of transition and what is involved. I guess he or she has got to hear it. So before touching on quite a number of people are giving their views and thanking you, and also quite a number of them are really uh, very pleased from what you did to your parent, and they are really inspired by what you did. So before we go on to that, as I was going through your profile as well, I realized that you run a foundation, the Michelle Boit Foundation. So you would, if you won't mind, tell us a little bit about it and what you do, and also what is involved if someone wants to join or who are meant to join. And as we finish off in that, we would also give you an opportunity to tell us what inspired you to do the kind thing you did to your parent by doing building a very beautiful home, I would say. And if mom is around, she would, feel free for her to come and say hello, jumbo to us, and we would really be grateful to see her as well and feel the joy that she is. she got to share the blessing as well with us. Hiyo baraka isikuwe yako peke yako, tunafaa
Yes, we have to share the blessings.
Eh, so yeah, tell us about Michelle Boit Foundation.
So my foundation, it's about. It started with mentoring the youth, and I registered it. I started it as passion. I went back to my high school to encourage the girls, to tell them that actually there are very many successful alumni from the school. Pursue. We wanted to inspire them, motivate them. If I share my story, I felt that they'll be able to, to do good for their lives. So I started with Kapniberai girls, and each and every time I used to visit Kenya, actually I used to go to my high school to make sure that I actually inspire my young sisters. By doing that, I started getting some of the parents who were there. They started calling me and said, actually, I have another child in this school. Will you please come? And every weekend, maybe like every other weekend, I will spend time visiting schools, talking to them. And at that time, I was focusing on girls in STEM to just have them to be encouraged, because we are so many less women in the industry, in the in the discipline of engineering, and there are so many who have so much potential. They have the talent. It's just that maybe they just need a little bit of encouragement. So Michelle Boit Foundation is for mentorship. We also have a program for community reach out. The mentorship, we reach out to 3 groups. The first group is the high school students. We call them level 1, where we go to the school and we do more of mass communication. We talk to them about career choice. And also the thing that we added recently is about also behavioral. So we said we're going to balance academic and social behavior. And then the second level we have is the college students, where we talk to the students in the universities. I work very closely with Kenyatta University, Nairobi University. I was able to go once to Moi University, and I hope to go more. Yeah. Where the student organization, they invite me, we talk to them. At this time, they've already mastered, or at least not mastered, but at least they've identified their career. So we're just trying to mold their career path and just tell them how reality is versus how it is in college. And also, we started, I realized that the youth, they are not getting jobs. I've had some few of them are requesting for internships and opportunity. I realized like they don't know how to present themselves. They have so much skills, but they were not presenting themselves. Their CV was not quite polished, and also how they talk. If they wanted something, I cannot tell you how many text message I've been getting. What is it called? This language, the text language. Just not writing properly. They're just not branding themselves well. They keep on mixing English and Swahili, and some people. If we get so many messages, it's so hard to try to read somebody who is not really communicating well. Mm-hmm. So those are the people we just pass through because they're not very serious with their life. Mm-hmm. So we started helping them with CV writing, how to present themselves, mock interviews, and we also realized that there are so many people who had graduated that they can't get jobs. So we pay for networking events and we teach them how to arrive, how to dress, and how to get contacts, 10 solid contacts from an event. I always tell them, if you don't follow my rules, you're going to pay me back the money I've paid for your event. So we've had so many success internship. We had so many success students who have got jobs from the networking events. Then the last level is young professionals. You can imagine you've just started your work. You're an engineer, for example, but it's just not for engineers. It's for doctors. We have we have few mentors though. That's another thing. We need more mentors.
Mhm.
When you start your job, you're going to a meeting, you're a young engineer, you're intimidated, maybe they mention so many acronyms and you don't want to look silly or you don't want to look stupid. So you come and ask us where you can say, you know, Michelle, I had them talking about this and this derivative. What does that mean? I'll be more than able to tell you exactly what they meant
Yeah.
and you won't feel intimidated. So that's about the mentorship.
Mhm.
We also realize when we're going to schools, there are some students who are really, really talented, but they're not able to go to school because their parents are not able to pay school fees. So we have four. Um, I'm paying school fees for four students. The first one is going to St. George's, a girl from Kibra, and she's doing very good. She was supposed to be in Form 4 this year. She's doing very good, and we wish her the best.
Yeah.
My second one is a boy goes to Kapsabet Boys, who is from Turkana County. He's doing very well too. And then I have two others who are actually from Nandi County. So we are hoping that the mentorship is gonna grow, the foundation is gonna grow. We'll be able to absorb more and more. We'll be able to help the youth.
Yeah.
We really just want to inspire them. We just want them to be our future leaders. Basically, our retirement plan is on our youth. So if we don't show them the right path, we're not going to be able to have our retirement money. And I really enjoy to do whatever I'm doing. If I'm not working as an engineer, I really enjoy being with my family and I really enjoy being with my mentees. They
Yeah.
drive me crazy and I drive them crazy too.
Wow. So.
So that's about, just having inner happiness.
Mhm.
You have to have a purpose in life for you
Yeah.
to be able to enjoy because it takes more of your time and your money, and you really have to enjoy doing such things. For me,
Absolutely.
when I just get a phone call, somebody has got a job or they've passed an exam, to me that is more than all these trophies that I've been getting throughout my career. It
Absolutely.
just gives me some inner happiness. I enjoy doing it. Now, when it comes to my mother, the house, um, well, when I moved back home, I started seeing some few things that I feel it's time to change because at that time I've settled well in my career, I've settled well in life, and it was time to now upgrade my parents. My dad passed on in 2008. God bless his soul. I miss him so much. But for my mom, she was living in a three-bedroom, two-bath, and it was more in the city area. And she also added rental apartments in the same compound. So I felt we were getting a little bit crowded. And
Yeah.
also the city had moved like 20 years back. That was a nice compound, with trees. But 20 years later, everything has been cut down. The city has moved to where she lives, and I just felt it's crowded, not only in the compound because of the rentals, but also just the surrounding. And my mom is a go-go. Go-go needs to now go home. Mom has a farm. She has cows, have vegetables. She's been plowing this shamba for the longest that I know, because I know even some of our school fees was coming out of harvesting maize. We used to come as student and harvest maize here.
Mhm.
And her plan was, in her retirement plan, she's in her retirement time, she's gonna build a house. So I thought, instead of renovating the house that was in the town, why can't I just build a house here? Build a house in her shamba.
Yeah.
And yeah, we started talking about it. That was in 2015. I prayed about it and I started committing myself towards it. And that meant I had to sacrifice a lot. I had to sacrifice upgrading my car. I had to sacrifice um, like just buying things that is a want instead of a need.
Yeah.
You have to really ask yourself, do I really need that pair of shoes? They're
Yeah.
so cute, but do I really need it?
I know.
Oh my goodness, do I really need that pair of suits? So
Mhm.
those are the things that I sacrificed in life in order for me to be able to save money for the house.
Yep.
And when I was starting the house, it was supposed to be a simple 3 bedroom. And then with time, we said, you know what? It's a farm. Let's have space.
Mhm.
And yeah, so we started building White House in 2018, right after I was graduating from my MBA. And yeah, so we built, and finally in August 1st, I was able to hand over the house to the owner, my mom.
Congratulations. I would say that baraka ikufikie.
Thank you,
Someone is
thank you. It was not easy. It was not easy. I mean, talk about I crossed with the contractor the first month. Alikula pesa.
kawaida.
And that's another transition also for diasporas.
Site lazima
Hiyo maneno ya kutuma pesa ati sijui kununua shamba nini nini. So many
ujenge
of
na
us tulinunua hewa Karen 13 years ago. Tulinunua hewa Great Rift Valley Lodge. It's just being a diaspora and trying to invest home. I think that's what's making people to fear, because you trust even family members and you're not able to achieve your goal because the pesa inakunywa maji. But don't give up. Don't give up, because me settling at home, I have done way much more compare if I say if I had stayed out in the United States, I could have not achieved as much as I've done right now.
So, touching on that, actually, and I'm sorry to take you back to what we've already done. You settled back because you already had, when you moved from the US, I guess you had already had a contract or an okay that you will be getting something out of TAL. So, for someone who want to come back home, should it be, what would you, your best advice? Someone should come in once akona kitu, akona job already yenye amepata, ama mtu akuja apatishe bahati nasibu, given that here in Australia you can apply kazi online. It doesn't matter if it's Alfred Koech, if it's Smith, if it's whatever, so long as you have the qualifications, you get that invite to attend an interview. But given, as we all know, kuna ile tofauti mbili. Unajua mtu huko una apply, mtu anakuambia kwanza kuna kazi iko Talo, najua unajiona na engineer, natuma CV. So what would you be your best advice for someone moving in? And then also the last part is that give us, or if you have any parting shot to our viewers and those who are following us tonight.
If I was to redo it again, I would have definitely waited a little bit more,
Yeah.
where I had saved money to do a nice down payment on a house and definitely a car. If you have a house and if you have a car in Kenya, basically you're 70% there. So if you're planning to move back home, definitely put your goals towards where do you want to stay, what do you want to do, and there are so many opportunities because you already have the experience of the first world. There's so many things you can come and you will see a gap. You'll see a gap that we have in Kenya. And once you figure out what is the gap and you bring in your experience and your skill, you close that gap by starting a business and test the market. Business is never that easy when you're starting. So give it time, and when you're giving time, that's whenever you're preparing yourself now to transition from from US to Kenya. And if you have a family, you have to consider schools too. Are you able to transition to A44 system, or do you want to continue with the American system? Do you have the money for the American system? So those are the things you definitely have to consider. I would say I didn't do my due diligence as well as I should have. The project that I was handing over at BP was so big, so I was so caught up in handing over the project more than finding out how life is in Nairobi, because I know how Eldoret is, but I didn't know how Nairobi is. And if I was to taken back, I could have definitely negotiated for a better package, because that took me a little bit behind too. And even though you're given, even though I was now earning less in Kenya, but I was able to save more because of the lifestyle. You know, mom sends vegetable from the farm. There's some little things that you are able to balance out, so that even though you're not getting something, you're able to trade off with something else. So even though I was earning less, for some reason I was able to save more. So that's something that was definitely a highlight of moving back home that I didn't see, but something that I would definitely like to share for those who want to move back home.
Yeah. So before you give us your last parting shot, I would want to read a few comments. Quite a number of them have come in. Meanwhile, hiyo baraka ya madhe hatutaki kuacha, so utamuita
Let me see if I can get her.
But I have to read the comments when you're here. But yeah, that's all right. All right, you can say check on mom.
Sorry, I could barely hear you.
I'm saying you wanted to check on mom, or you want me to read the comment first?
Say that again.
Utaita madhe ama nisome comments while you're here?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Mom, please come.
Okay, so we have quite a number of people watching. We have Unisum, so inspiring. That is Unisum.
And you might need to put your mic somewhere close, because I can barely hear you, and no, Mom definitely will struggle. Come on. I'm sorry, Bob.
Hiyo baraka lazima tupate pia.
They want you to say something. I know she's tired. We call her Chef Kazi. This is my mom.
Chamgia mom. Ananisikia kweli?
Can you hear mom? You can be a little bit loud.
Aniski?
Now we can hear you.
Yeah. Jambo mom.
Hello, how are you?
We are doing very well, and we are really happy to see you and hear from you tonight.
Oh man. Okay. I'm sorry. Is this the volume? She can barely hear you. Hold on. Let me. They're saying that they're happy to have you here.
Unanisikia hapa sasa? Can you hear me?
No. It's a little bit faint, but mom can just introduce herself.
Yeah.
Yeah, just introduce yourself, mom.
Okay, my name is Elizabeth, Michelle's mom, and the other siblings.
Yeah.
How is White House? Being in White House?
Well, I thank God first for the gift of life He has given me and my children and my grandchildren. I thank God also for the White House my children have built for me.
Yeah.
I'm thankful. We are really enjoying it, and we are a bit mesmerized, and we don't know what to do, but God is with us.
Asante.
And we are very happy.
Kongoi missing. Unanisikia hapo?
Thank you.
Asante sana.
I know, Madam Gogo, I know you. You're so tired, but no, it's okay. It's just
Yeah.
late. Yeah.
Okay.
That was loud and clear.
Well,
Asante sana, ma'am, and we really wish you all the very best.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And hiyo baraka pia sisi tumepata. Quite a number of people online are happy also to hear from you and also what Michelle has done. And we speak blessing to you and your family.
Yeah, we thank God for a lot of things because even during when we were building the White House, when we just started, Mom got sick
Yeah.
and it was so tough. So we thank God that God healed Mom and we were able to get back on track and finish White House. And that is just an encouragement for all the people out there. Sometimes life just doesn't go the way you plan. And whenever you get a detour, don't um don't give up. Don't give up because the detour is for a reason, and you just have to remain strong. Make sure you have people who are positive around you to give you that strength that you need. And definitely the most important is to put God above all
Yeah.
and just trust in him and just have all your hope in him, and he definitely turns around your life completely. He definitely does.
Well and truly.
I think my daughter wants to join too.
But
Megan.
ambia mam, watu wamesema hiyo Ngereza yake kwa mchuu kabisa, amesema American English.
Come behind. So this is the first time actually we are having like 3 generations.
Wow, great.
Here is my daughter. There she is. This is 3 generations.
Wow.
All in one room.
Wow, that's amazing. That's we'd say God has good plans for you guys.
Thank you, Alfred.
So someone said here, as we finish off, before you give us your shout outs, someone said, Kibeti K, it says that ask engineer that the future of oil and gas business, considering the emergence of new renewable energy like wind and solar, and the shift to more use of electric cars. So, Mesema, what's your thoughts on that?
I'm gonna be very biased. We need oil and gas damu,
Yeah.
and I see the transition that is coming up, but the transition will definitely take a long. I would say about 20 years, 20 to 30 years to really see a big impact,
Yeah.
because they still have a long way to go for it to be viable. All the equipment for the technology to be intact. They still a lot to be done, but I would say the oil and gas industry at least will be here for another 20 years, if not more.
Wow. Well answered. I think TK, umesikia hiyo maneno. Last parting shot, engineer. Your parting shot.
What I would say is for all the people out there, always put God first in everything that you do, in every step that you take. Definitely put God first. And always, before you make a decision about something, if it's taking a new career, if it's moving from US coming to Kenya, or being a diaspora, moving back home, whatever step you take, always weigh the good and the bads, and take your time. Don't rush. We are all different. We are affected in different ways, but I would definitely say that God always gives us an opportunity. Always have great plans for us. Jeremiah 29:11 is my favorite verse. And never give up, never lose hope. Reach out to the people who you look up onto. Definitely don't limit yourself. Do not stay in the comfort zone. For you to be successful, you have to definitely do things that are very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And love on your parents. Love on your parents. Give back to them. Some of them already have houses. Visit them. Let the grandkids come and visit them. And you will always get your blessings from that.
Amen.
And
Wow.
that's all for me. And we thank you so much for hosting us. It has been a pleasure. This is my first interview I've done, having my mom and my daughter. And
Yeah.
we thank you so much for having us. And we are looking forward to also work with your foundation. I'm all about giving. And you have done a very good job, Alfred. And I can't wait to see what your foundation, will do for the society, the community, and God bless you.
Asante sana. So from here at AKL show, I would want to say that I really appreciate you coming in and also sharing with us your journey, sharing with us your experience, and also even giving us an opportunity to meet your family and also to say hello to them. I'm really grateful as well for having you is an honor. Quite a number of people, yes, such I would want to even show up at this point in time. Someone would say, I'll be late, I'll be home with family, chilling, but you took this time to be with us. Really appreciate, and I wish you the very best.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Have a good one.
Asante sana. So in big
Kongoi missing.
Michelle Boit noton ne kakomwaiwech missing kotinygei ak boisiet notok nekikwai inendet kong'ete komite emetab America akoi nguno komite emetab Kenya. Kwai nguno kotesetai kwai boisiet notok nebo netinyegei missing ak ng'alekab mwanik. Komwaiwech inendet kole ng'alek chotok chekiyai ko kisoman akikomuch kosulda ako boiboiyenyi konotok kokere kakobaibait koboto sigindenyi. Ui kakamwaiwak eng tai ako kakale ketorotishot betutab rani ketindoi kityo biik chotok chenyorchingei silingishek 500 chotok credit chebo Safaricom kobun AKL anan kobun kora Lanson Foundation. Ameche kityo abwatun alejin Lanson Foundation ko organization notok netoreti lagok cherwoe chebunu kokwatinwek cheterterchin eng olin bo Nandi ako icheket kora kokochin icheket kosikyigei komuch kosoman akonyorchigei kora ng'alek chotok chebo labatet. Abwatun kora alejin icheket koteche kambit eng olin bo kokwetab Mutwat sikomuch kotorete icheket. Ngimeche kora itoret icheket iityi icheket eng Facebook page eng Lanson Foundation anan inyoru icheket kora eng nambarishek chotok chobendi ng'unyjo simuch ibirchi icheket simet. Imuch kora ikochi icheket simendi anan iwe kong'ete ng'uny tugul oleimite akoi site iipchi kiy notok neimuch kotoretegei icheket kotech kambit notok. Ketoroti kityo kakamwaun ale draw koroni acheru kityo kainet agenge ne kakonyorchigei betutab rani silingishek 500 Safaricom M-Pesa. Chito notok nebo betutab rani nekamuch konyorchigei ko chi nekile Binti Saidi. Ko simuch ikonet kityo nambarishekuk sikemuch kenyokun credit chebo Safaricom. Kong'ete studio kongoi konyo sere. Engineer kongoi missing. Kongoi.
Kongoi missing. Thank you. Kongoi.
Okay. Bye.
Kimwalyato neinganyewe kimwalyatinye neimwaewe ingilitit kongalngal koeto kotestai komesemetine ng'omnotet kaeng'olyatab Jehova ng'ololchin ng'oret nenyolunot imutu ngotab Jehova mautien konetishengung akot betune kakoyosit